So the students have access to all of the resources in our Google Classroom page. So I post assignments and I list out what the goals are for the day, as well as kind of any kind of resources that they might need. So as you can see, the goals for today are to take the reading check for episodes 6 through 10 in Beowulf, to then, when that is completed, to read episodes 11 and 12, to track themes, and to track characteristics and conventions. Now, the way in which they choose to track those is completely up to them. So what they do have is they have a unit guide. And on the unit guide, at the very top, it obviously goes through the essential questions and my learning objectives. But as you move towards the bottom, what is beneficial for the students is the access to all of the videos and all of the resources. So they have an outline, and they get this in the beginning of the unit, and it is the list of all the work that's graded, where they can find the work and any kind of supports that they may need. With this, they also get all of the resources. So for instance, when teaching Beowulf, what's really important to know is that the content is difficult. And so in order to aid them in the content, but not kind of bore them to tears, what I've done is I've created videos for each episode or chapter or canto in Beowulf. And so I have a YouTube channel, and I assembled them on my YouTube channel in this playlist. So as they begin to read, what they would do is they would open up to the episode that they are currently reading. They would open up to the video that is there. So if they were reading episode 2, let's say, they would open up to the video. And behind me is a summary of the content or the plot of the episode that I have created. And then what is in the corner, oh, that's a pretty picture. What's in the corner is me actually reading the book and explaining what's happening. So they follow along and read with me. So here's the sample.
Okay, we're on episode 2, page 8. When we left episode 1, we had been introduced to Grendel. He is said to be a descendant of the devil, descendant of Cain. Hrothgar is said...
So I try and give a recap of what we just read. I also kind of then will lead into what we're reading. So they follow along, read with me as I explain. Also, throughout this, what I'll do in the videos is I will say, well, this connects to the thematic topic of good versus evil, and what can you then infer about good versus evil or the larger theme? And I will connect to their themes and their characteristics and conventions. So it's like me being there reading to them, but they can pause it, they can move it forward, and they can go as fast as they really need without kind of waiting in the traditional lecture. So moving back into the unit guide, there's, for some kids, they really need the audio, they need the reading of it for me. Other kids don't. So they may choose to not watch the videos, and then here maybe they just use my summary notes. And so they read my summary notes that I've created, and that is enough for them, which is fine. I also have a lot of samples of kind of the theme tracking and the characteristics and conventions chart. So the objectives that the students have to meet every day is that they have to read to understand, and they have to do something with their reading. Just to read is not enough. So they have to, what we call, work the text, or in this instance, work the poem. So they need to take notes, or they need to annotate, or they need to use stickies, whatever works best for them. It does not matter the way in which they learn or way in which they kind of use their learning, as long as they're understanding. So for instance, when they have to track themes, they may choose to track themes digitally. Every student has this document in their Google Drive, and they can type their responses in it. For some kids, they are more hands-on, and so for some students, they have chosen to color code their themes, and so they have an index card in their book with each thematic topic connected to a color, and then what they do is in their book, they actually color code, and they write some of the information there. And then for other kids, it's they may handwrite or they may take notes. It's really whatever works best for them. So they can use the resources that they need. They don't have to use everything, but they have differentiated resources for their learning. So as you'll notice in some of the videos is that some students are just reading, some students are watching my videos, some students are taking notes, typing, some students are highlighting in their books. They're focusing on the same objectives, but the way in which they go about that, their learning process is different. So going back to today's goals, in class today, everyone needs to do the reading check for episode 6 through 10. They then do the reading and they do the legwork for episodes 11 and 12. There's then kind of the next steps, which is the next chunk of assignments that they need to do. And the order in which they do those assignments is completely up to them. And I give them kind of ways to maybe even combine assignments or to kind of synthesize assignments. But there is an end goal and there is a due date of the end of next week for the next steps assignments to be done. Students can essentially move at their own pace and that they can move as quickly as they want to, but they cannot move as slow as they want to. So for today's goals, as you'll see in some of the video clips, there's kids that are ready to take it right away, but there's some kids that maybe need some extra support and will take it later. So if they were not able to reach today's goals, then I establish kind of a support outside of the classroom in order to make sure that they are caught up. So a lot of the misunderstanding with mastery-based learning is that students can work as slow as they want to, and that's not necessarily true. They can work as fast as they want to, but they have to stay on pace with the goal every day. So that's kind of an overview of the resources and the way in which the classroom works.